से start करो. A very good evening. A research Agricultural University in Impal, India, and today I take the opportunity to introduce Dr. Sanjay-Swami. Dr. Sanjay-Swami is a professor in soil science and agricultural chemistry at School of Natural Resource Management Studies in Agriculture, Barapani, Meghalaya, the Central Agricultural University in Impal. Apart from teaching postgraduate students, he is an active researcher in the field of conservation and management of natural resources, especially in soil and water conservation in the Indian Himalayan region. He holds the prestigious position of National Fellow of the Conservation Society of India, Chairman of Meghalaya Consortium. Is also so. This is his brief introduction. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pritisa. Friends, very good afternoon, very good evening to all of you who are present on this platform. I welcome all of you, and at the outset, would like to thank Dr. Hasrat for providing me this opportunity to just interact with you people. Let me share my slide first. Is it visible, Dr. Hasrat? Dr. Hasrat? Dr. Hasrat? Dr. Hasrat?
Hello. Yes, please.
Yeah, my slides are visible now.
Slides visible, but sometimes your voice goes off. I don't know whether it is in my computer or also somewhere else, but your voice sometimes dips.
Okay, no problem, because we have some internet connectivity problem. Already I have just informed you, but still I think we will be able to complete this task today. No issue.
Okay.
So friends, again, very good afternoon and very good evening to all of you. I am going to discuss on the ridge-to-valley treatment of hilly terrain for efficient soil and water conservation. This is very important topic, particularly for hilly regions. As you know, that hills are very important source of water, energy, biological diversity, and it is a major, you can say, the ecosystem representing the complex and interrelated ecology of our planet. And of course, hill environment are essential for the survival of this global ecosystem. Uh, uh, Coming to the next slide, see, my first thought is whether we are really food secure or not. If we consider the situation of India, we say that yes, we are food secure now. But looking at the future, see, right now we have around 1.39 billion population, and by 2050 it is supposed to be 1.65 billion. Likewise, if you see the food grade production, right now it is estimated that we are producing 2.263 million tons, whereas by 2050 we will need to feed the 1.65 billion population It is required to produce 377 million ton. Whereas we have to increase the food production more. But 142 million hectare, and that cultivable area by 2050 will be only for 145 million hectare. That means it is almost going to be remain same. That indicate that with the same cultivable area, we have to produce more to fill the gap. Very possible that we have to utilize all the possible soil resources to produce more food. And in that context, I can say that hill areas are potential for filling this gap. But at the same time, you see the development of hilly areas, it can contribute to economic development, particularly of small and marginal farmers, and of course, the small holdings. So besides food security, the hills also provide the environmental benefits, and the fertile soil has more capacity to hold and retain moisture content and preserve humus factor in the soils. But at the same time, the steep slopes of hill are highly susceptible to the accelerated soil erosion and landslides due to high intensity rainfall. And this ridge to valley treatment approach, it is just to control soil erosion, to conserve soil, and to retain moisture, soil moisture. And this approach actually it seeks to detain, divert, store, and use available rainwater in a very positive way. So coming to the present context, that you know that we are facing different type of challenge, that may be the climate change issue, that may be the depletion of natural resources. As all you know that because of this advent of this green revolution, we have depleted or we have exploited our natural resources without thinking for the future generations. And there are even the market pressure, market forces of maybe the mining activities, etc. So all these factors are contributing for the you can say the degradation of soil resources or land resources. If you see the scenario, globally, almost 24% of the global land areas are affected by degradation, and 1.5 million people they are living on these degraded lands. Friends, if you see the human-induced soil degradation globally, almost 1965 million hectare area are under this category. Now, if you see the global scenario and degree of degradation due to the this human-induced land degradation, you can see that even the ACR region, where we have the highest light and moderation type of degradation, whereas in case of Africa, you see the strong and extreme degree of degradation is there. These two regions are, you can say, the very susceptible or having high area under different type of degree of degradation. Then coming to the different sectors of this human-induced degradation, here this figure just shows that the water and wind erosion, these are the two major factors contributing towards the human-induced erosion. Of course, there are some other factors like declining nutrients, salinization, soil compaction, pollution, waterlogging, acidification, subsidence factors. So all these factors are contributing, but there you can say the percentage is very less in comparison to water and wind erosion. Then again, if you see the causes of this human-induced soil degradation, friends, the overgrazing is the major cause of this human-induced soil degradation, followed by deforestation, then overexploitation, and of course some industrial activity also contributing towards this. But the main factors are three, that are overgrazing, deforestation, and mismanagement of agricultural practices. Then if you see the Indian scenario, you see that India is having 18% of the global population. Whereas we see upon the land resources or the soil resources, you can see that we have only 2.4% of land resources. This figure clearly depicts that from this limited 2.4% of soil resources, we have to feed a larger portion, that is 18% of the world's population. That means we have more population pressure on our soil resources, and we have to feed this population. At another hand, if you see that out of this 2.4% soil resources, from 100% of these resources, almost 30% of soils are degraded with one or another factor. And the Union Government of India, we have targeted that by 2030, we will be able to restore only 1.5% area of this total 30% degraded area. You can just see the small portion of out of this 29.32% area, only 1.5% area we have targeted. Scarcity scenario in India, there are so many, you can say, the impacts. Ladies, they have to go or cover long is no availability of water, and there are certain areas, particularly in Rajasthan, in Madhya Pradesh, and some part of Andhra, that we have to feed, we have to just send the drinking water through different tankers. That means we have certain villages that has fed with the tanker supply of this drinking water. Likewise, you can see the malnourished children's in those areas, and of course in the drought situation, so that we can just save these livestock resources. So this is the scenario. Then what will be the possible solution? Friends, if we manage all these things on watershed basis or watershed basis, that we, yes, definitely we can change this situation. And look at the watershed. What is watershed? If we see, this is nothing, only a geographic area that collects rainwater and channel it into a stream or a waterway or a river. This figure, it is showing, see the different, this is a geographic unit, a watershed area, and different channels. These are coming from different sides, and ultimately all these channels are combining in a waterway, or you can say river. So this is a typical, you can say, the watershed area. And this watershed, it is a socio-ecological unit, because there are society and ecology, that both things depends on the management of this watershed. Now again, this picture, just here I want to show the ridge line. You see, this is a hilly area, and in this hill area, you can see a line here. It is just mentioned by the word divide. This is the divide line. Yes. And within this area, all this water, or maybe rainwater, it is coming towards the downside of uh, this area. And if we see this divide line, apart from this divide line, the other side, the water is going, that is not included in this watershed area. So the divine line is the, you can say, the demarcation of a watershed area. Okay. And see, the water is coming from different channels, and then it is being utilized for different purposes, maybe the livestock rearing, maybe for drinking purpose, maybe for cultivation of crops. And there are different, you can say, the uses of water, and then ultimately it is coming towards the common uh, river. Again, here, just in this picture, I want to show that how this water movement is taking place. Friends, here, where the blue arrows are mentioned, here very little, or you can say very uh, thin line is visible. So this is actually the ridge line, you can say the divide line or ridge line. And the areas from other side, the water is moving in another side, whereas the blue arrow indicate particularly the watershed area. And in a particular watershed, all this water is coming from different channels and ultimately combining in a big river. So there are different types of watershed. Mini watershed, it has the area of 1 to 100 hectares. Micro watershed, it has areas of 100 to 1,000 hectares. Then milli watershed, that has areas 2,000 to 10,000 hectares. Then sub watershed is having
Your connection has lost. Yes, your voice is not coming.
now
Hello.
it is okay.
Ah, yes. We can see the fly slides. Yes, we can see screen.
Okay,
But
okay. Sorry for
but
disturbance,
but
because today we have the internet connectivity problem because of these certain issues which are going here. And even the state government has banned the internet connectivity throughout the state. But somehow we are managing through this broadband connectivity. And okay, uh,
Yes,
let
please
us
go ahead.
continue.
Yes, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is like that. Yeah, it has to happen. Okay.
Okay. So for watershed development, we have to divide all this development process in three major broad categories. One is we have to treat the area, then we have to treat the drainage line, and of course we have to uh, we have to adopt some in situ water conservation practices. So it is a, you can say, the sequential techniques where first we have to treat the area. After treating the areas, we have to go for drainage line treatment, and of course, then we have to go for in situ water conservation practices. Karan, it is not moving. Yes, then there is one term, that regenerated natural resources. Friends, even in a watershed area, we want to regenerate all the resources by the better utilization and equitable and sustainable in a equitable and sustainable manner. So, but if you see, this is not ad hoc basis, but it is not really adopted in a systematic manner and in an integrated manner. Therefore, we have to means adopt this idea, and the critical factor in this regenerating natural resources based phenomena is the involvement of local communities not possible. And for this, we have to build their capacity and for the even the resident of that particular area and the local institutions. Then friends, this watershed development, it is a socio-technical intervention because the whole society is involved and they have to adopt the various technical interventions. And because of the involvement of the society, of the local inhabitant, they are responsible for planning, for organizing, for implementing, and for even monitoring various treatments and maintenance of these watershed areas. And you see, along with even these social disciplines, we have to go like this Shramdan, that means the contribution by the local resident, and ban for free grazing. That means this is a general, you can say, the concise, that we will not do all those practices which negatively affect the watershed area. Then coming to the ridge to valley treatment, which is the, you can say, the main concern of this today's lecture. Friends, this is a approach where we want to retain, we want to conserve every rain drop which is falling at the, you can say, the ridge there itself, so that we can just check the movement, we can check the velocity, we can check the flow of or movement of that water, so that we will be able to check the soil erosion. We will reduce the runoff velocity, thereby reducing the soil loss, or you can say the loss of fertile soil, loss of nutrients from the top fertile soil. And uh, every measures for this ridge to valley approach, we have to start from top side to the bottom side. And here again, we are giving preference to the most degraded lands, Then again, the poor land owned by poor farmers again is the top priority that we have to treat first. Now the second is scientific execution of this all these area treatment, drainage line treatment, and in situ soil and water conservation practices measures. That means we have to plan scientifically, we have to execute scientifically there, that which area we have to treat from which treatment. Likewise, in drainage line, what is the slope, what is the, you can say, the velocity of water, what is the you can say the breadth of this drainage line. Accordingly, we have to go for different drainage line structures, what type of structure is suitable, and how it will be beneficial for us. For that, we have to plan scientifically. Likewise, for in situ soil and water conservation practices also, we have to go scientifically that which practice will be more suitable in a particular area. Then the third major issue is of contour line. Friends, here again, I would like to say that whatever interventions we are doing, whether maybe the contour trenching, whether maybe the other, you can say the interventions, but we have to go along with the contour lines so that the water harvested in the treated areas that remain at least uniform level, leading to the even soil moisture, uniform soil moisture everywhere, because it helps in prevention of breakage of treatments and even in land leveling over a period of time. Then again, this vegetative cover is the key factor. Friends, you see, this is a picture of Darawadi area in Maharashtra. In 1996, you can see the complete barren land. But the after proper intervention, or you can say the watershed management in 2009, you can see the same area. It is almost green, and here you can see the image also. The in first image, you can see the red dot where it is the dry soils, where barren lands. But in the second picture, the almost you can see that red patches, they are disappeared, and now it is a green patch. Then again, this watershed planning is actually the land use planning, that how we have to utilize our land in a proper way. And for that, we have to take care of the different parameters, different features like soil texture, soil depth, soil erosion, and land slopes. Then, according to the land capability classes, we have to classify the soils, whether it is suitable for cultivation or not suitable for cultivation. Then based on that, whether it is cultivable or not cultivable, we have to plan properly that what type of means use we should just draw from this soil. And accordingly, if it is not suitable, what type of measures we have to take, how to develop this watershed area, all these treatments we have to plan accordingly. So this is the just how this land are uses according to the land use capability classification. Friends, there are 8 classes, and the first 4 classes are, you can say, the suitable for the cultivation. First is for suitable for intensive cropping system, second for conservation cropping system, third for restructured cropping system, and the class fourth is suitable for agri-horti or agroforestry systems. Whereas the class 5th to 8 are not suitable for cultivation, but yes, we can go for pasture or rangeland. Then in coming to in class 6, this is suitable for afforestation or dryland horticulture. class 7th is only suitable for grazing, whereas class 8th is only suitable for wildlife or recreation purpose. Then again, this watershed, it is a social unity. Uh, it is a social entity where the social unity and discipline is very much essential, because all this development of watershed is based on this social unity and discipline. No one will be allowed to break the rules, that rule and legislation which are formed by the society. So for this, we have to build the capacity of different institutions, and of course there must be some technical experts, so that we can ensure this rule and regulations. Then water budgeting and management, yes, of course, because water is a very precious resources, and we have to plan the things according to the availability of water. You can see the different uses of water that we have to utilize for irrigation purpose. We have to use it for human consumption. It is utilized in even industries, then for livestock rearing, and uh, therefore we have to conserve the water wherever, means whenever rain is available in different soil and water conservation structures. Then we have to utilize in a productive way the water productive crop pattern. You have to adapt, and all these water productive crop pattern and cultivation practices we have to adopt. Then we have to check on extraction of groundwater, so that we can't over exploit our groundwater resources. We can go for utilization of micro irrigation techniques, so that we can save the water. Then the last, you can say, the principle for this development of watershed is the maintenance and repair of different structures which we are just in putting in the watershed area as a treatment. So in the maintenance, we have to do redeepening or desilting of structures, then gap filling, pruning and nurturing of plantation, grass bed. Then in repairing, we have to shape and shaping of soil and stone bunds, then increasing the cross section of bund and removing of breakage, and of course the maintenance of these systems, then creation and use of maintenance fund, annual assessment and actions, and maintenance of repairs and records. So all these things, repair and maintenance, we have to do for proper functioning of watershed. Then again, a very, you can say, the important term in the watershed development is the time of concentration. So what is this time of concentration, friends? It is actually the time taken by the raindrop when it falls at point R to reach the outlet. Here in this picture, you can see the point R is here. It is the, you can say, the farthest point of raindrop, where it is just dropping from the outlet area. You can see if the drop is just falling at this point, it has to cover this much of distance to ultimately go to the outlet point of here. So this is very important term, because in watershed development, the time of concentration is increased by doing different type of treatments, so that the running water should walk, and walking water should stop, and the stopped water should infiltrate into the soil. So this is the concept behind this increasing the time of concentration. Then again, I have told you that for scientific execution, we have to plan the area treatment linked with land use planning. See, there are different type of treatments, different type of, you can say, the structure or measures which we have to take, but we have to plan accordingly, according to our land use system. See, in agroforestry system, we can go for continuous contour trends, whereas in cultivated crop cultivated area, we have to go for bench terracing. Then again, we can go for contour stone bund. In pasture land, we can go for contour stone bund. In agroforestry, we can go for water absorption trend. In crop cultivated area, we can go for contour bund. So likewise, yeah, there are different interventions, but all those interventions we have put according to our land use system. Then after area treatment, the next part is drainage line treatment. And again, you have seen here that different type of intervention, different type of measures are available, like this stone gully plague, loose boulder structures, then gabion structures, then stepped CNB, earthen nalas, earthen bunds. So these are different, you can say, the interventions which we have to just decide based on our requirement, because all these structures are meant for a specified, you can say, the depth to check the velocity of water, how much velocity is there, how much availability of water is there, what type of structure we should use, that we have to plan in a scientific way. Then here just I have shown all these things that in area treatment, we can go for continuous contour trenching. And these are, you can say, the planned and excavated right from ridge part towards the valley part. And these continuous contour trends of 0.6 to 0.3 meter of size, and the ties in between two trends that are kept at a interval of 5 to 10 meter. The horns are given at the end, and of course contour should be strictly followed so that we can have a uniform soil moisture level. Yes. Then these are some of the staggered guard trends that even we can utilize for this tracking the velocity of water. Then contour stone bund, again, these are the measures taken on those areas where soil excavation is very much not possible or very difficult because of the abundant quantum of stones or boulder in the uh, soil surface. So these are constructed along with the contour lines, and are useful for reducing velocity of runoff water. And these are means very good measures for arresting the flowing soil. Then next is contour stone farm bund. Again, it is very old practice, and it is constructed across the slope or on the contours. Very skilled person are required for its construction, and it lasts for a long time. Then coming to water absorption trends, these are just to save the downstream treatments from the intense storm, and these are strictly again means on the constructed on the contour lines. And three rows or lines of these water absorption tanks shall be taken on uniform sloping land, one at the top, second at the middle, and last at the lower portion. And the extra runoff is divided into natural gullies. Then contour filled bunds. The contour bunds or filled bunds or wastelands are arable lands to improve the soil moisture retention and control the erosion. These are promoted for growth of the grasses, trees, and crops. These bunds, they promote growth of grasses. Then for planning of this watershed management or watershed development, we have to utilize the village cadastral map. You can see that from the whole village we have to just taken this area, the green patch for the development of watershed. Then uh, again here this patch is shown, and based on the requirement, the all the intervention or the treatment are imposed here in the last picture. You can see where we have to go for this different type of treatment. It is just mentioned here. Then coming to drainage line treatment, as I told you that for drainage line treatment also we have different type of structures. So first is you can say the drainage line treatment. It should be taken uh, mm, taken once area treatment is once the area treatment is completed. I already told that it is a sequential process. First we have to go for area treatment, and after completing the area treatment we have to go for the drainage line treatment. And this drainage line treatment, the purpose of these are to reduce the velocity of runoff and conserve the soil. And here I have shown the three figures. First is the stone gully plugs, which are just constructed in a series. Then loose boulder structure and this gabion structure, they have the different specification. The gabion structure, just you can say this is it is a wild case, and in wild case we have the stone filled. Then the earthen nala bunds, check dams and nala bunds, these are also constructed for harvesting of the additional or surplus runoff water. These are pictures of the earthen nala bunds. Again, the earthen nala bunds. So here I have to just share one of this peculiar system, or you can say the example of the proper this how watershed is managed. In Northeast India, we have one important jabo farming system. This is a very unique system which is originated from the Fek district or particular Kikruma village in Nagaland. And what we have in this system, that at the top of the hill we have the catchment area where we have maintained the forest. Then the water is just running in the channels. Then we have the siltation tank, water harvesting ponds at the mid elevation. And then we have some paddy fields, livestock yards at foothills, and of course the uh, along with the paddy, in these paddy fields the farmers are taking fish component also. So this water just is flowing through the gravity, and it is reaching to the paddy fields where the farmers are taking paddy and fish both. This is just the repetition of same thing. And yes, this you can see the typical structure, that this is the conserved forest area which just serve as the purpose of catchment area. And the rain water, this is just coming, even if it is crossing the road, and then it is coming to the siltation tank. And after this siltation tank, this water is stored in the water storage pond or water harvesting tank. Then this is the cattle yard when we need the irrigation for the vegetable, or we need to irrigate the paddy fields. Then this water is flowing through this animal shed, so that the dung and excreta and other things will mix with this water to increase the nutrient of this water. And then it is coming to the paddy fields. So likewise, in this paddy fields, the fish is also cultivated. And here, this top is the ridge line. You can see the line. This line is the ridge line, and this is a typical watershed where all the components, they are maintained properly, so that we can check the soil erosion. We can um, utilize the every drop of water in a best possible way. I have given here two links, although these are not, you can say, directly related to my work, but still they have just, you can say, the uh, a typical way how this jabo farming system is being practiced. And actually the first link is how this ridge to valley approach is a functioning as a holistic approach for the watershed management. So this is in short regarding this ridge to valley approach of this watershed management, how we can particularly utilize this approach for maintaining the steep hill slopes and save them from soil erosion and conserving the soil resources. Yes, so I have finished from my side. If there is any query, any questions, I am here to respond.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
So my question, my name is Soromongchuk Sherpa, sir. I'm all the way from Bhutan. So, sir,
okay.
my question is, sir, like due to the climate change, sir, how the watershed is being affected in the hilltop area, sir?
See, we are just disturbing our natural ecosystem. Nowadays, you see that the forest cover has reduced. Okay, and because of the overgrazing, there is no natural grasses, no natural, you can say, the barrier. So ultimately, the, you can say, the necked slopes, they contribute more towards this soil erosion. Okay, when our hills are not covered with any vegetative cover, and when the rain is coming, okay, so all these top fertile soil that is mixed with the water and just coming to the downwards, right? So these are the factors that, yes, definitely all these factors are related to even climate change.
Thank you, sir, for your answer.
Yeah.
Any other question? Anyone wants to speak or can also write in the chat box.
Of course, this approach is a very, you can say, the practical approach and site specific approach, and one has to plan very carefully and in a very scientific manner, because every measures they are specific to specific areas and according to the need of the, you can say, the situation. There are so many other alternatives also, and here all these structures that we can go for, I have discussed in a very, you can say, the very brief manner, brief or concise manner. uh, but if you need more detail regarding all these measures, that what actually these are, and where means these are applicable, that vary from even slope percent, how much slope percent is there, and in at what slope percent what measures we have to take. But particularly in the high slope and in the rice cultivation, the bench terrace, this is a common practice. You can see even in Bhutan also, even in Northeast India also, in Nepal also, in China also. This is a very common practice.
Sir, before you address the two questions of Ram Narayan,
Okay.
I I actually wish to get some clearance from you about. You have mentioned in one of the slides
Yeah.
the causes or the factors of responsible for soil erosion.
Yeah.
So in which one was overgrazing, and you have given 56% score to it, as I
Yes.
remember, maybe more
Mm-hmm.
or less.
Mm-hmm.
And just recently, while responding to Sonam's question, you were also saying that in the hilly tops, because of the overgrazing, the problem is that.
Yes.
Um, I really not very comfortable with this figure and with this position. Reason being that the overgrazing has been portrayed as a villain in the conservation history of our countries, and not only our countries but also in many developed countries too. This overgrazing, actually there is no scientific evidences or data of how the grazing by the animals deteriorate any ecosystem. So just by tramping by the hoof of the animals, I don't understand how the soil erosion intensity increases in the particularly in the grassy ecosystems or grassy terrains. Basically, while Ram Narayan is mentioning in his second question, is the answer, is the real answer. There is a rampant deforestation in the mountains, and this deforestation has been done not by the local people, mostly done by the companies, mostly done by the government itself. And this deforestation, if we remember, we can also observe the big hydroelectric projects, even the smaller ones too, or the road projects, many other construction activities, um, and the tourism complexes, etc. They are mainly culprits for this deforestation in the mountains. In many European countries too, I have very closely observed, like in Romania and like in Slovakia and particularly in Ukraine, where this logging is still happening today. Even today, the logging is done by the companies and people who are, under the patronage of the government people and the political powers. They have been, recklessly cutting the trees in the mountains. And this is the same in our countries. Although India has remarkably progressed on this particular aspect of logging, but still it is still there in the name of the development projects, wherein the Ministry of Environment itself give the clearances to the destructive projects. The Environment Ministry is rather an industry ministry. It is no more environment ministry. It works in the interest of the industries and for the clearance of the very destructive projects. So and whereas the EIA is just lip service. EIA is like just a formality. If there is something very dangerous activity is going to happen for or destructive for the environmental damage, then the EIA reports are very much manipulated. We all know about it. So here, the heavy logging is going on in the mountains, whereas only the local people are blamed for every every kind of the like soil erosion or any other kind of small things. Although the population increase, we have seen that population increase is obviously responsible. The urban expansion in the mountain areas is taking away a lot of resources, no doubt. But compared to the industrial destruction, that is still negligible. Still negligible. It's not much. Like tourism hotels, they have been cutting down so many trees, and they are just warming up their customers in the night. And what they do, they don't do by themselves. They simply hire the local people, and local people, just for earning their livelihood, they go and cut the trees and they sell out to the tourism complex. This is how happening. The elite people are also, building their houses by the precious wood, and they directly don't go by themselves. They simply, there is an indirect channel of buying the wood. So I have this discomfort
Yes,
when the local people are only, blamed for everything, and I don't really agree that the overgrazing is the cause for any such destruction. Overgrazing is just blamed over the history, and has become, it is made deliberately the villain for it, by the scientists, by the government conservationists, by the international expert also. And the real culprit is actually hiding behind all this. Thank
yes,
you, sir.
Dr. Asrat, I agree with your views, but the figure or the data which I have shown, that I have taken from some reliable source. Right now, I am not remembering, but I can provide the reference if you want to see
uh,
those.
sir, again, data,
Yeah,
please
listen,
don't.
listen, please. Yes,
No, I listened
but
your
the
data.
fact,
Yeah, data
but the
argument
fact,
is not.
yes, yes, I agree with you. But the fact which you are telling, these are the practical things, and of course, the resident or the local people, they can't be blamed directly, but somehow they have their role also. See, industry people, they can't enter in village if there is no support of local people. Okay, and even the ongoing crisis in Meghalaya right now, that is the best example of these things. What is happening, that there are maybe big mafias, they have cut a lot of trees, and they are just taking away. Okay, and when the forest guard, they caught all those timber logs, the local people, they came for the rescue of their own person who have just means cut the forest. And even the situation was that the whole village come against the forest guards, and in their defense they have to means do fire. So there is involvement of local people also. Without their involvement, it is not possible. Yes, definitely, I agree. But that if they are getting the lucrative money for a small thing, they are not hesitating to do the unfair means. That is there. But still, if they you can say they are conscious, and they are not permitting the industry person, the mafia person, to enter in their forest, in their local area, I can't say that it is possible. No, no one can enter. And
No, but
definitely,
again in this story which you are telling,
yeah,
who is the culprit? The local
see,
person or the
culprit is the
mafia?
mafia. Culprit is the mafia. ठीक है, but mafia again is from the local persons, and that's why all the villagers, the locals, they came for their rescue, right? Because whole village is involved in this process. We can't say that any particular person. And the moment they have caught some person, whole village come for their
Okay,
just
okay, okay. Okay, understand. So our debate is going on the wrong track, basically. So
Okay,
yes,
that yes, I agree that the grazing is not so much responsible, but we have to just show the data which is available on the resources. Otherwise, no one will trust us. That is
no,
also there.
about the data, actually, data is also data is very objective. We really
Yeah,
cannot
yeah,
trust on the data, and
yeah.
moreover, data is also biased. So
That
if
I
the
also.
yes, it is very much biased in the
Mm,
on the side of the mainstream conservation thinking. Okay, so
yeah,
mainstream
yeah.
conservation thinking goes like making the human beings um, human beings villain for the wildlife conservation. So this is happening for like centuries now.
Yeah.
The wildlife scientists and the forest scientists, they have been thinking in the reverse direction, that basically this is the in the problem is the in the root of the problem is the stratification of the resources. the, who were the owners of these resources historically? If you see, in the pre-nation states situations, when there were the kingdoms and etc., so the resources were owned by the people. When the modern state has come in entire world, the modern state has grabbed the resources from the people, and people are dispossessed from the resources. Now you say the forest guard is beating the people. So who is forest guard? Why forest guard? Why not people? And the resources of the people should be given to back to the people. Let them manage and let them mismanage. If they want to
Yes,
mismanage, it is their
yes.
right to mismanage. Okay, let
Yes,
them
I
do.
agree. I agree. Even you see the very this Chipko Andolan that is
No,
started
no,
from
Chipko,
India
no,
only.
no, Chipko is okay, but there are
Yeah,
hundreds of examples in our countries
yeah,
where
yes,
the communities have managed. You see the Uttarakhand, where the one
yes,
panchayats have conserved their forests.
yeah,
Is it not the same people who have been managing their forests? They are managed. They have managed. In Nepal
yes,
also, you see the community forestry,
yeah.
the
Community forestry.
global
Yes.
model of forestry conservation.
Mhm.
So,
That
so,
I
but
agree. I
but
agree.
actually
Even
the problem in the root of the problem is not the people. It is who
Mhm.
controls the resource is actually in the root of the problem.
yes,
Okay, the
definitely.
other
But
question, you please read the other questions and address. Thank you.
others. One question he has just asked about the different what are the crops. Okay, the crops, there are so many grasses, even the perennial grasses that are location specific. Maybe the areas where Dr. Ramnayan is working, maybe different species, different crops. And here in Meghalaya, we are using this broom grass, very effective to conserve the, to bind the soil. Then in the elder-based farming system, we are using elder trees. That is also very much effective for binding the soil and conserving the soil water, to stop or to check the runoff water. So there are so many, you can see, crop and grasses by which we can just increase the vegetative cover and check the soil erosion. Then other things, I think these are just discussion only. I am fortunate to be a member of. Okay. Yeah, very good. Is giving one example of this village forest council. Then, yeah, then everything just the examples where he is working very nicely. Yeah. Yes, all those suggestions or the experiences shared by Ramnayan ji only. There was only one question that I have replied. So any other question? Thank you, Ram Nayanji. You are also a very good worker and very efficiently working in the Uttarakhand area. So I think you know all these aspects, and maybe someday we will meet or will exchange our ideas. Definitely.
Yes, it would be interesting to meet and discuss these issues in person.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you for a
thanks
great
to you also.
presentation.
You have given so many examples where you are working. Although I have visited your area also, Himachal area also, I have served in J&K up to Poonch area, maybe around 4 years. So I have ideas of there.
Yes, yes. Lots of similarity across the
Yeah,
Himalayas. So
definitely.
right, yes. Thank you once again. It was a great presentation. Lots to learn from. I'll write you separately regarding some of the papers that you referred. Would be interesting to follow it up.
Yeah, definitely. You can share uh, through my email. Okay,
Yes.
definitely would like
Yes.
to go through and.
Any other person wants to question or any reflection you want to make, please speak. Okay, if nobody is coming, then probably we will discuss further, Dr. Sanjay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, watershed, actually watershed is very favorite subject, and because we have the audience from other different countries, so I just wished to clarify some things about it. In fact, the watershed conservation is the package of the conservation measures on the land. They are mostly applicable or applied in the water scarce areas and in the undulating trends where hills or the mountains are existing. So in those areas, these kind of the projects have been implemented in mostly by the funding. The
Yes.
water conservation has not become the public movement, people's movement. Only rarely we have seen the water conservation has become the people's movement or people's culture. Although in the ancient times or even in the medieval times, we see that number of water harvesting and water conservation technologies, water conservation measures the people had adopted in different parts of the world. We see from very classical examples come from Iran, and also like in many mountain areas, for example, Caucasus or Carpathians. So, but 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 largely this is not the people's project. In the countries like India and many other such countries have received the big fundings. I remember my career started with the watershed in '94 when I was implementing one watershed, a small watershed project in Tehri Garhwal district in one village. So I learned all these things in the early stage of my career.
Yes.
And that interestingly, Dehradun, that time in undivided Uttar Pradesh, Dehradun was having very famous watershed management secretariat, directorate, not secretariat, directorate,
Okay.
where very big project being implemented in few districts of present day Uttarakhand. And that project had done number of experiments in so many villages. And coupled with that, very very big institution in Dehradun, Central Soil and Water Conservation and Training
Yes.
Institute.
Yeah, yeah,
You must be aware of.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. So that was also implementing good projects in the hill mountains
Mm.
that time, and
They have.
gradually, yes, gradually I had observed that the watershed became a movement. In fact, the Ministry of Rural Development has got the separate directorate of the watershed management in the headquarters, and each state has got under the control of TRDA, and now is a Zilla Parishad or Zilla Panchayat. So the watershed projects were implemented in literally all these states, and I think such projects are still going on. So I have this pretty example, pretty enough experience of the watershed interventions. Even until 2016, I was involved in ecological restoration programs in Rajasthan. So this is very interesting to do that. But usually, what what is lacking? Even the Kapat also had implemented so many watershed projects, although Kapat was shut down long ago.
Mm.
And in fact, interestingly, I was involved in many evaluations in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh and Uttarakhand for for the watershed from rural development ministry. So so
Yes, you are very much
the
true. We
yeah,
have.
I'm quite aware. But my question here, sorry, I just
Yeah.
I'm not letting you speak because I'm just my flow will break.
Okay.
What
Okay.
I'm trying what I'm trying to say is that the in certain examples like some of the NGOs, hmm, you know WOTR, you may be knowing the Baba Amte's organization in Madhya Pradesh, and some good examples like Tarun Bharat Sangh has done wonderful work in Alwar district. And there are so many other in Haryana and Himachal Pradesh. There was a Changar project in Himachal Pradesh funded by GTZ. That time it was GTZ, not GIZ. Today GIZ, German technical. So, here the missing element is the communities
Participation.
participation is fine. I mean, like most of the projects that are based on the participatory processes, and they had really, but somewhere it was just managed participation. Somewhere it was really inspired participation. Anyway, we are not discussing that, but we are discussing like the major thing is it could not become the people's movement overall. People are crying still today. They are crying for the water scarcity, water problems, etc. You have shown that the water is also brought and bought from through the tankers, etc. in many areas of the countries and different countries, not only India but Africa also. We see the same phenomena. But the point is that the people are really not ready for conserving the water. Like everybody wants a wood in the home, or wood furniture or wood to enjoy the wood, but nobody is ready to plant the trees. Okay, so anyway, the same way everybody wants to drink safe water or the abundant water, but nobody is really ready to conserve it and catch it in the backyard or the foreyard, whatever. So here, this is the missing link. So please give some reflection on it, or anybody, Ram Narayan, or anybody can
Yes, Dr. Asad, you are very much true that all those efforts could not able to create the people's movement. And we have only, you can say the few examples. When I was working in Haryana in CSSRI Karnal, at that time, whenever some visitors, maybe from other areas, maybe from abroad, whenever they are coming, we are taking them to Sukhomazri project. okay, near this Chandigarh. So we have even good examples, but that are very few in number. And people's movement, you are very much right, because now the people, they have become, you can say, the uh, everything, they are, what to say, the self-centric. Okay, no one is thinking for the nature or for the other, you can say, the biodiversity, other life on this planet. Everything they needs for their own, and this is what we are lacking for the all those issues to be a people's movement. There is no cooperation. No one is following the rule and regulation. No one is willing to conserve the water. No one is willing to conserve the forest. Even you can see the example of even our area. Many times I told you that this is the area where we have the highest rainfall of the globe. But still, you see, when this monsoon season is over, there is no crops. Why? Because they are not harvesting the water, they are not conserving the water, and for that they are not able to take second crop. Only single crop they are taking in a season, in a year. So again, we are convincing, we are trying through a different approach to harvest the water during the rainfall event, that yes, it can be harvested, it can be stored, it can be utilized for the second crop. And even when we have the high rainfall at that time, although we are lucky that in Meghalaya we are not facing the flood like situation, but you see in Assam, and Assam people, they are even not able to harvest the rainwater. That is, this flood is creating havoc. So it is lacking on the part of even government side, even the community side, and even you can say the a personal perspective also. No one is willing to do this work, and that's why we are facing the problems. So here now I just want to share that we are trying, we have devised some Jalkund concepts, and at the top of the hill, we are constructing this water harvesting ponds, and at least we are trying to harvest some water, and that we are utilizing for vegetable cultivation in the Rabi season, or in the, you can say, the winter season. But still only the few farmers which you can say they are up to some extent educated and understand the things, they are adopting these practices, but not the common farmers. Still we are trying, and we are convincing them. Hopefully we will be able to convince them, but really this is a very you can say the bad picture, that no one is willing to work for the conservation of natural resources, but everyone want to utilize just what you said. They want to drink the pure water, they want to have uh, good nutritious food, but no one is willing to cultivate, no one is willing to conserve the water. So this is true, and in my opinion, yes, still we need to create awareness regarding this. So only we have to work, we have to go to the farmers, and just to make them aware, just to train them regarding these technologies, and try to means adopt them, cooperate them, then only we can get some success.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Is there anyone who wants to reflect something, or otherwise we close the session? Ram Narayan, you want to say something?
I was actually typing. What I was wanting to say is that this is a very complex issue and it's very
Yeah, very
layered.
complex.
I just wanted to share, because we talked about one panchayats, and I wanted to talk about something that Dr. Hasrat said about control. So historically, from the early 1930s, one panchayats have been there, and they have been in the original laws. They were handed over to communities for perpetual ownership and control. But as time went by, certain forces could not appreciate that communities can actually take care of their own forests. So now there is a serious revision in forest in the one panchayat rules, and now the forest department is being made the real owner, and the people who managed it for nearly 100 years are now being told that you are just caretakers, and at best caretakers, and at worst you're just users of this forest. So they're trying to implement a joint forest management arrangement on a property or forest that should have been owned by communities. And fundamentally, that is the issue, that communities that live in resource rich areas are being made to bear the burden of climate change, conservation, and they're also facing the worst effects, but at the same time they're also made to take the burden of saving forests for other people. We don't hear of this conversation happening in a city, that you should grow trees and you should conserve water, because they think that is the responsibility of somebody else. So as long as we are in this very ultra capitalistic mode of uh, privatization of common resources, we are going to be facing these technical issues of soil loss, lack of water conservation, people not being interested in doing sustainable agriculture, because they would rather, very truthfully, they would rather play Dream 11 and earn money through Bitcoin or gambling, rather than do work on the ground, which is definitely not as economically lucrative, but is much harder work and is what is required. So we are now in this very complex situation where motivations are driven by the media and social media as well as popular media, whereas hard work on the ground is not appreciated at all. So it's very difficult to keep momentum in communities when this kind of forces are at play. um, so I just wanted to share that, just to corroborate what both of you all have said. Um,
Okay, great. Thank you. So yes, right, Ram Narayan, you have mentioned this classical case of the forestry discipline in this country. I believe that India is the worst example of forest management in the world. This is my belief, and also not belief, but it's also it can be substantiated with the examples like, in fact, in literally even the neighboring country like Nepal, the forests were handed over. Some of the forests were handed over to the people and communities. Uh, and so are the examples in some other countries, but India has completely centralized everything, all these natural resources, particularly forest and forest lands, and everything is controlled. Although we had entered of late in the evolution of the forestry management into the CFR, community forestry rights, and there was one law which was brought in by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, but that has been made ineffective mostly, largely by the forest department itself. So anyway, but yes, it's right that I mean, we are not discussing here the behavior of the urban communities, or this is the global phenomena. In fact, ultra capitalism you have mentioned is rightly in maybe in the root, but yes, the people's overall the people's attitude and people's behavior is also responsible, as the Dr. Sanjay has been emphasizing from the beginning in relation to the soil erosion. Okay, this was interesting topic, interesting debate. Overall, my observation, and I think everybody's observation, is that Dr. Sanjay has very effectively explained the watershed concept technically. He is the technical expert, and the measures he has suggested, although this is a very complex technical things doing in the watershed, this is quite much involving the engineering aspects as well, not only the social and the natural resources, but quite much engineering. So soil and water conservation engineering, in fact, is involved, wherein different kind of the measures are designed and then implemented on the ground. So I would love if all the people are, if they are interested to learn about these techniques, and there is a lot of literature on the watershed. There was a wonderful manual, technical manual developed by Baba Amte's institution in what is the name? No, not Baba Amte's. It's something else. Very wonderful manual developed by them for each technical measure. Like if you want to create the contour bund, then how should be the measurement? What should be the planning, etc. So this is lot of literature, but mostly, as I told, that these watershed concept as a conservation, soil conservation measure is mostly adopted in the developing countries where the water scarcity exists. But like in the Europe and Canada, where the abundant water is there, so this is not a common practice. But however, recently I had observed in Kosovo, I was crossing through a road and I observed, I became very happy when I saw that they had constructed the road, but like in our countries, we talk about much about while constructing the road to create the crate wire, crate wires, or like gabion structures, etc., so that the soil, cutoff can be checked, particularly in the raining season. So I observed it was very well planned and very well, done, including the channels. They had created the channels so that the runoff can be streamlined into the nearby streams. So I think many European countries have done it very well. I still like to see in Ukraine all these water conservation things. I have not seen very closely, but I like to see, because our many audience come from Ukraine. So I'm just talking about it. Thank you. So thank you so much, all of you. Please, for your time, for your attention. Now we are up, and then we close it this session.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Asrath, for providing me this opportunity. This was, I think, my second and last lecture in this November series of uh, global lectures, local impacts. And I agree that this watershed development is a very much interdisciplinary subject, which requires knowledge of soil water conservation practices, engineering, natural resource management, and even the topic which we are just discussing, that uh, different measures at what slope in what is specific situation that can be suitable, and how it will be constructed, every detail that is have the engineering base, and of course that require a complete lecture on that aspect. So if the participant they are interested, that can be assigned to any suitable person also to deliver on that aspect even. So
It is,
again,
sir. Sir, it is 2 months training, continuous
okay,
non-stop.
yes,
It cannot be done in lectures. It's a full training, 2-3 months training in the
yeah.
field.
So again, I convey my sincere thanks for providing me this opportunity, and of course providing me this very big platform where I can convey my message. I can share my experience to the global participants, global audience. Thank you so much.
Okay, friends, we close this session, and tomorrow at the same time we have another lecture on the water, and but that lecture is on the economics of the water. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Those who are interested, be with us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Doctor.